looks like it went down again. This time it was on my end. And then Copa, if you're still there this time. I think that time was my bad. I will say though that it's amazing how far the internet has come. Because I grew up, mid '80s to the '90s, and we first had internet in my house in like 1997 or '96, and that was when if someone sent you a picture, it would take like hours to download to your computer, and we had like a newer computer, um, but the internet would take forever, and that was when it was dial up. Um, yeah, if you wanted even a small video clip that was like 5 seconds long would take hours to download, and you just have to like leave your computer and let it do its thing, and hope that you didn't lose connection while it was happening, so you didn't have to like start over. Um, every everything took time. Like nothing was fast. It could take you like on the worst days. Sometimes it take you like almost 10 minutes to sign in. You just have to wait there for the internet to finally like connect. And in like our house, there was only we only had one line, one phone line. So you had to pick between using the internet or making phone calls. So if your parents wanted to make phone calls, you were out of luck. You had to get off so they could do what they wanted to do. Things we don't have to worry about now. I remember my dad got Super Mario on a laptop and how I was playing with him in the 2006 to 7. Yeah, that was a cool phase when um, all of a sudden the old Nintendo games and Sega games you could play on your computer. Everybody had like bootleg copies of it. Today, when I play the same game again, I don't have the same taste. Yes, Nintendo. Yeah. Well, and the thing about playing old Nintendo games is until you got to Super Nintendo, all like the Super Mario 3 and stuff, you couldn't save. So you had to play through the whole game. But a lot of emulators will let you save. That was different with the computer. You could start saving your spot in like Mario World and come back to it. But yeah, the emulators were fun. When I lived in China, like bootleg games were everywhere. You could buy any PlayStation 2 game, Xbox game. The only problem was you didn't want to do it because if you bought one and you put it on your PlayStation 2, there was a chance it could kill your box because of viruses and stuff. So if you were going to do that, you wanted to buy a one of their fake one of their fake PlayStations. What was your favorite emulator game? Man, that's hard. I was a big fan of Castlevania. I like playing Super Nintendo's Castlevania. Viruses were everywhere back in the day. But I still have my Super Nintendo. This was my first gaming system. I still have my N64, and it works. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but I also still have. This is the first system I ever got when I was a kid. Was my Super Nintendo, and it works. This, of course, was the game I spent hours and hours and hours playing. And this was a classic, the NBA Jam. That was a lot of fun. Before there used to be all the NFL Blitzes games, then Madden kind of has a monopoly on that. Yeah, I got a few. This was a lot of fun. It's a Super Mario World. This was the first game I had where you could save your progress, and that made like all the difference. When I was a kid, this was the most controversial game at its time. Was Mortal Kombat. When Mortal Kombat came out, it was the first game that showed like blood and stuff when you were fighting, and parents lost their minds. They thought Mortal Kombat was gonna ruin society. And then games like Grand Theft Auto came out, and they were like, "Oh, Grand Theft Auto is gonna ruin everything too." But I don't know about the rest of the world, but in the U.S., Mortal Kombat came out, I think, in 1993, and that's when they were saying like, "Oh, like this is the end. This game's too violent. It's gonna turn our kids into sociopaths." And after it came out, violence went down in the U.S. We started seeing like our lowest crime rates in decades. Same thing, like Grand Theft Auto came out, and they were like, "This is gonna ruin everything," but crime rates went down. So the idea that video games cause violence was kind of shown not to be true, and how much it dropped. But that was the big worry. It's like, oh, there's blood, people would be crazy. But no, it didn't play out that way. But for years, people would say that, even though all the statistics said it wasn't. We're only finally getting to a level of crime in the U.S. that was the same as when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we had like drive-by shootings in my neighborhood. We had lots of fighting, lots of shootings, and that's what I grew up with. And then for years, it was just very peaceful for the most part. How is that even possible? For the crime rate to drop, I gotta go. But the crime rate dropping is possible. They don't know what did it, because they don't know what spiked the crime in the U.S. to begin with. They think that the crack epidemic had something to do with it. There's areas that weren't affected by crack that had higher crime levels too. They don't even know how they stopped it. They think that one of the contributing factors, because a lot of different cities did different things to curb the crime wave from the 80s and 90s, and different cities had different results, and so you had so many different paths that were successful, but at the same time those same programs failed in different cities, so they've never been able to entirely nail down what changed the crime wave, why it got better. One of the things that they do point to, though, is in the U.S. we used to have leaded gas, and exposure to lead is shown to do two things. Is one, it affects your impulse control and your IQ level. So if you're breathing in a lot of leaded gas, it could make you more impulsive. And they think that cutting those lead levels out completely may have dropped the level of violence. And there's an interesting thing where we stopped selling leaded gas in the U.S., but they were selling leaded gas in Africa, in different countries in Africa, and they have high crime levels and violence and impulse control. So it's pretty fascinating. Um, I don't know. It's really interesting, the differences. I don't know. They don't know what dropped the crime so much, but now it's like spiking back up. It's such a difference. I have a cousin that's 12 years younger than me, and when I was a kid, we were fighting like all the time. Not me and my cousin, but just me and like my siblings at school. Like we're always in fights. Like there's violence all around us. And then my cousin, who's 12 years younger than me, graduated from high school, and he's graduated from college. And I don't think he's ever been in a fight. When he was in high school, he never was in a fight, not a single one. And to me, that was just crazy. That was like never an option. Um, just the difference in 12 years, that what that makes. And my cousins, they asked me, like, why were you fighting? And like, we just didn't have an option. It was either you were picked on and constantly pushed around, or you were in fights. Those were your two options. So, but all right, well, I got a jet. Thanks for hanging out, Copa, and thanks for reminiscing. I like looking back at the past and video games and stuff. I have this like reoccurring dream where I have like access to all the video games, and I like never figure out which one to play. But I'm just super excited because it's just a room. There's like a wall of every video game that's ever come out, and there's like random ones that we used to play a lot. Never finished because they'd be at a friend's house. So, all right, take care, you guys. God bless you.